see who it might be. It is a best of 5 as we start in the top left-hand corner with the red Prowlers player from X Zone. This is MaxPax. Undefeated in the lower bracket. What a run he is having. 15-0 in maps. He is unbeaten in this lower bracket so far. I mean, that actually is a pretty crazy statistic, right? That's a pretty wild stat, as we do see our probe down the bottom right to block the hatchery. Solar will already just be running straight across. So he brings the drone down. There's actually going to be a 16 hatch on time on the low ground. So he's kind of expecting to be blocked there. No surprises. He's going to handle that just fine. No problem at all just yet. Overlord of Solar is making its way to the upper left-hand side. So off on a little bit of a journey. And we'll see what MaxPax wants to bring. So obviously MaxPax just got to see him playing against Cham. We'll see if he looks to adopt some of the same builds here once again. If he wants to maybe mix things up a little bit. If he's got kind of a plan as to, you know, a couple different things he can get done here. As that probe comes around the back and is going to move around the sides. Again, I'll look to see just what is going on in these early stages. Nexus on the way up. Just going to be seeing drone coming through to nibble a little bit as well. So probe taking some damage. As we do have a Cybercore, we'll finish up at the front and just going to be having our double queens, fallings on the way out. Overlord about to pop. So at least game number 1 here is going to start off pretty standard from MaxPax. I do think Lightshade's one of the maps he does enjoy playing Adepts on. The thing is, if you get Adepts here, you can see the power of them already. You can shade here, you can shade here, you can shade through to the main, and that's 2 very easy bases. Whereas on some maps, say you approach the third from up here, you've got to shade the third or go by to the natural. But here you've got more options. So, you know, we actually see him adding on an extra gateway already, and I think he is just going to do that kind of 3 gates into Twilight, into Glaives build. So something a little bit different from what you would usually expect. Maybe something very different from what Solar is expecting here. But all the more reason for that to then maybe be able to work out. As that warp gate's about halfway done. So going to see our hatches move along nicely. The first Adept here, and it's just going to shade back as he comes in, just looking for information. And there is indeed the Twilight Council. So again, so much of this for Solar right now is figuring out what's going on. Lightshade is one of those shorter maps, a little bit of a shorter rush distance here than some other maps that you might see. So it's actually important to keep that in mind on the Adept side, but also on the Zerg side, because it means if the Zerg gets up an army to deal with these Adepts and then finds a counterattack opportunity, the counterattack is going to hit hard and it's going to hit fast. So you're going to have to be really making sure that you've got a defense set up at, you know, behind this. You got to really be careful about that. You just have our Resonating Glaives starting. So yeah, just got to be careful, make sure you can defend, you know, going behind this and all the rest of it. Just worth keeping that in mind, I think. As we do see Solar honestly preparing pretty well. Roach Roaring coming up here. It would maybe be a little late. I think he's preparing just as though this was 4-gate Glaives. Obviously, it's a little bit different to 4-gate Glaives because it is only 3 gates, and that means you do transition into that Prism behind this as well. Sorry, not the Prism, but the Disruptor drop behind this. So Prism speed and the Disruptor drop, not just the Prism itself. You've obviously already got a Prism. But you can see the differences. So Glaives finishes up way later. I mean, usually Glaives would be done now. But you'd still shown up with, well, yeah, it's 7 Adepts that show up. So it's not even like a crazy amount of Adepts. Like, it's still the usual amount. Yeah, it does sort of surprise me. And then obviously your reinforcements are going to be weaker. This is problematic for MaxPax. So he gets fully surrounded. He's going to lose all of these Adepts bar a couple. And that is not a good start at all. Well, this is basically pressure shut down before Resonating Glaives is even in play. And Solar, like I say, you got to be accepting of the fact here as MaxPax that this is now potentially going to be a counterattack that you got to deal with. His Prism sits AFK for a moment or two. MaxPax is going to switch it up on the follow-up. He's going to drop the Dark Shrine down. Yeah, I don't mind the Dark Shrine. I actually think it maybe makes some sense. You're definitely in a bit of a messed up position. You definitely didn't do what you wanted to get done early. So going Dark Shrine, a good way to kind of set up for that. And I do like the lair as well from Solar. Dark Shrine actually mostly as well means that you can't be aggressive, because now the moment you get aggressive, if a DT warps in, you just have no way of dealing with that without the lair. So it basically forces you to play a longer game out of this as Solar. But of course, Solar is in a pretty happy spot. I don't think he's all too worried about this at all. You see the Ling's going to rotate around the left side. A few more adepts just shading through into the center as well. These Lings going to get here and, well, just going to hit the front door, so no real success. Now I'm going to get on top of this third Nexus, mind you. I mean, there's a lot of units still at home. You can see the Ling count should never really be a problem for those adepts. For a moment, I thought they might commit to the Shade. He really left it last second to cancel. I'm talking about canceling. Third Nexus canceled here on the other side. So, yeah, that's definitely a problem, too. So MaxPax is really in some trouble. And now Roaches and Ravagers finding some hits initially. Adepts are going to go for it into the Nat Mineral line on this third base. Well, he's got a couple DTs on the natural, and the Overseer is here. He's more than an Overseer, but he actually just needs the units to start dealing damage. 4 drones lost. A little bit of panic from Solar, but the cleanup is good. There's 3 DTs in the main, though, so he needs to go over there ASAP. He needs units in the main base, which is what he is going to go and deal with. Okay, well, it's MaxPax giving Solar a bit of respect, and he did move his units away pretty quickly. Let's Queen's chase the Prism up the side. Ling's going to grab a DT. DT here going to pick away at a few more drones. Ling Roach Ravager jumps back on it. MaxPax is just going to type GG. He does not find any fortune here at all. Good defense from Solar. We dive into game number 2, and we start in the upper left-hand side with the red Protoss player, who is down a game in this best-of-5 series. See if he wants to or can bring this back around. Picks up this problem. It is MaxPax in the upper left-hand side. As down in the bottom right, we do have the blue Zerg player. Give it up if you're cheering on Solar here for game 2 of this best-of-5. He's at 1-0 and a good defense at first. I do worry a little bit about the I do worry about what MaxPax plans now. I think this has to be Stargate focused. Romanticide, nice large map. I don't think this is an Adept map. I think this is a Stargate map anyway, so he's probably going to change it up, and then we'll see if he can maybe find something out of this here. Did you just have our Probat down the bottom? And maybe this is going to turn into something of a longer game if you end up on that Sky Toss style. You know, we see Stargates nowadays really do go into a lot of, you know, early triple Stargates and stuff. Oh, it's going to be the Forge. High Ground Pylon was probably the giveaway here very early, so my bad on that, not spotting that. Wow, Solar's going to check with the drone, and he's going to find it right away. Yeah, so my bad on the lack of noticing of the High Ground Pylon. That's obviously a pretty big tell from the start, so I'm theorizing something that doesn't even need to be theorized. Oh, no, the probe! Oh, my goodness. Well, that's not good. Probe goes down. There's a new probe on the way, yes. But the fact that this wasn't an actual wall-off just means that these drones are just gonna... Well, yeah. I mean, that's nice. Now what? You keep a drone patrolled here? MaxPax is gonna try and build up from a bit further away, but that's in range of the Overlords. He's gonna try and take the attention elsewhere, maybe? I mean, he's trying to set up something of a wall. First cannon starts. Honestly, the probe takes a few shots. A couple drones on that cannon from an early stage. And he's going to lock a couple of drones in there, which is nice, because as the Lings pop now, they won't be able to really help out. Solar almost looked as though he believed he was able to get in there with the Lings. He will go after this pylon. Honestly, this cannon's going to be so low anyway. Finishes in 7 seconds. It's not really losing any HP as it builds, basically, though. So as the Lings get in, you're going to lose maybe a drone. Not even because the target fire wasn't there. Oh, no. Well, that's game number 2, and Solar's going to open up with a pretty... Had a second probe on the way before he lost the first one, right? It's just... He just wasn't really fast enough, I suppose. Yeah, it's pretty brutal situation. Let's just be realistic. I mean... It's just a tough loss. As hey, we go into game number 3. MaxPax is in the right in the bottom left-hand side. Solar is in the blue in the upper right-hand side. Alright, so Solar is a map away from getting a rematch against Special. Now, if that goes to that best of 7, whoever goes up against Special, I suppose, it will be a 1-0 advantage for Special because he came from the winner's bracket. So, keep that in mind, I guess. That kind of makes me hope that we have some longer games, though, because right now we are truly in the process of a speed run. We started the stream, what, an hour ago? Not even, because I was a few minutes late. Yeah, I was a few minutes late, and we might be on track to do 2 best of 5s in an hour. That's obviously not normal. I guess kind of good for somebody that didn't get to sleep all night. So there's something good about this, I guess. But that's not really a good thing. we're here for good StarCraft, right? Right now, the games are interesting. They're just quick. It is all. All right, so game 3, and we do with Jack and Nathra at least maybe have the best chance at something of a longer game here, I would imagine. John moves down, chasing the probe out through the top side. Seems to be coming up on the spawn pool. Solar should roach roll in him. I mean, I think what Solar will do is something Nidus related. I think Solar's going to do something Nidus related with this. If MaxPax goes like multiple Void Rays or multiple Stargates, I think Solar goes for like a Queen Roach Nidus or something along those lines to try and shut it down, basically. Is what I'd expect. That's going to shade up and just going to be coming through. And I'm going to get rid of a couple of these lings. And get rid of a couple of drones as well. I mean, this is a nice start from MaxPax. 3 drones go down, so yeah, we're absolutely worth it for the 2 Adepts. So, a good start. A better start than what we've been having, at least. So, yeah, at the very least, that's something. It's a step in the right direction. And it's just going to be Oracles to begin with as Ling's going to run at the front. Well, now you're going to have to full wall just to make sure the Lings don't break through that Adept. That would be, obviously, a little bit sad. Follow the Oracle. Let's see what the Oracle can get up to going across the map. So Oracle up around the other side is going to fly through, and it's going to be seeing fly straight into Queen, so unfortunately it doesn't do much there right away. It's not the best of starts, honestly, to begin with. The Oracle gonna try and go a different direction. Roach Roaring's already building up here from Solar, so getting that up and running on the 3rd base. So bringing the Roach Roaring through, and the Lair is on the way as well. As the Twilight Council is on the way up. So getting the Twilight Council up and running as Oracles fly in. Drone or 2 going down. double Twilight building on the other side of the map for MaxPax is obviously far from ideal. You've got one in the main, one in the natural, and I feel like that kind of just explains what kind of series we're seeing right now, you know? That's kind of a... I feel like that's just a straight up sign of like the state MaxPax is in. 2 Twilights as he goes into like a Twilight Forge kind of setup as well, so it doesn't really feel good at all just yet. And Adepts do get in, and they're going to get a few drones once again. I mean, credit where it's due. I do think the Adepts have had some pretty good success, and over on the third base as well, some extra Adepts going to show up, and they're going to do a fantastic job of getting a lot more workers. So Solar's going to take a lot of worker damage. Oracle's in the main base also coming in, and well, that was definitely a better few moments at least. Definitely some good stuff out of that. I mean, that is good. I do think that's fantastic news, because at least now MaxPax has had a little bit of success, and if nothing else, that should lift his spirits a little bit going into the rest of this game. And like I say, I feel like that's probably necessary right now based on what we've been seeing. And the Lings are going to find a bunch of these sentries though. Oh, he move commanded. MaxPax gets away with that, as we do see Roaches over here. Now there's Adepts in the third base again. The Roaches are going to come through. The Oracles obviously come back to deal with this, but this is a lot of probes starting to go down now. A lot more probes than I feel like MaxPax should have ever really been expecting to lose to something like this. The Lings on the third I thought were actually rather unfortunate not to get more done. He actually started to, he kind of move commanded them when they got stuck. Instead of actually just continuing to attack, he would have had an extra sentry from the start. And now more Lings coming down, and okay, a couple cannons and a battery on the third. So 7 drones just went down with 12 probes dying as well. Lings are going to grab one more probe, and Roach speed is about to be done, so we are moving into that as our continuation. The Lings are actually going to fight Stalkers at the front, but there's just not enough of them. Higher Lings or more Lings there would have done fantastic, but just not the case. It's +1 missiles coming through in the evolution chamber. The extra drones still coming up as well. So all of that continuing to get set and steady as the Oracles get aggressive once more. So again, we've got a bit of a back and forth game. This one definitely a little bit more fun. Solar's got a lot of gas in the bank, so he's a little bit down on supply right now, but he's got about 700 gas banked up, and I do wonder what the intention with that will be. At the moment, we just seem to be Ravagers, right? So morphing a bunch of Ravagers and go. Because again, I guess at the moment, this entire composition is just going to be Roach Ravager. So again, if you're just going to be on Roach Ravager, generally you're hoping that you've got something of a plan to make that Roach Ravager useful. Otherwise, where are you really going to end up, you know? Oracle's coming around at the top, drops a Revelation in, hits a couple Queens, and the Hatchery gets caught in that as well. I mean, not really a big deal. Ling's going to counter into the mineral line. How did they get into the main? Well, how did they get into the natural? And now they obviously get into the main. There's a cannon already here, though, so MaxPax preparations for maybe even Mutalisk or something, and it's actually going to help him against the Ling run, but that gets off as... Oh, very nearly lost a probe as well. Okay, I mean, like I say, guys, it's been a bit of a wild matchup at the moment. Oracle's going to drop another Revelation. I mean, the thing is here, MaxPax has got to see that Solar's doing one thing and one thing only, which is massing Roach Ravager. I mean, now it's going to start moving across the map with Revelation on it. Okay, now he's going to pull it back. Problem is that you can't just pull it back and be like, I'll wait till Revelation fades, because the Oracles are going to refresh that. That's the one thing these Oracles are really going to want to make sure they do, which is double check all the time where this attack is that they're kind of looking to fight. So, I mean, Solar starts up +2 missiles, but he's been building nothing but units for a while, so I'm really not sure what the plan is. I mean, you can't just keep going into Roach Ravager here, surely. I mean, he's gonna, I guess he just wants to max out, and then if he has the missile upgrades, he can at least just continue on anyway. Now, because he obviously waiting to max out has its negatives, and the negatives are going to be these disruptors. 2 of them already out, and 2 more in production as you see Solar taking down the rocks over on the left-hand side. Revelation drops in and just going to tackle the Ling Ravager there as we start to move down. Some Lings from the left-hand side as well. A few for Corrosive Vials. The Star break down these rocks. Disruptor hit is huge on the Ravagers. Probe's already starting to go down as Solar breaking up some force fields. He is going to get... I mean, there's no battery available, so there's no super battery to save the day or anything just yet. I mean, the Disruptor's obviously safe in the back as well. Going to start firing again. If you hit Disruptor shots like that, it's going to hurt. At the same time, it's not like MaxPax is doing this all for free. He does get a super battery up. How did Solar let that battery finish? I feel like as though the battery maybe should have been a higher priority, and maybe right now it should be a corrosive bile priority as well. You're letting so much stuff get healed here. I mean, there's Archons that should have never had a chance in this game getting healed up right now as he blinked forward there. I'm not sure if that was the right call either. Disruptor shot fires, but Solar is able to dodge away from two of the Disruptors, in fact. So two Disruptors don't quite connect. Solar does have to back it up, but he arguably did enough here to make this work. And there's two more Disruptors popping out. Extra Ravages more from the left side. The Oracle's going to drop a Revelation to track those roaches a little while. Solar's about to finish +2. So the problem is every time you fight now with Solar, there's going to be more tech, right? And obviously this means more Disruptors. More Disruptors really, I think, just means you can't really fight this. It's forever going to be the problem in these kind of scenarios, quite frankly. I don't know if there really is like an amazing solution to this, honestly. Solar's going to go into the Baneling Nest and a melee upgrade and an infestation pit. I mean, if you get to Hive, you can obviously yoink those Disruptors as they fire and pretty much nullify them, so that's something at least. But yeah, overall, it doesn't really look as though Solar's in a position to make things happen in this game, for sure. Well, it's going to be MaxPax to maybe bring the pressure to Solar now. As he maxes out, he probably says, well, no reason to sit around at home. It's only going to get better for me if I get on the aggressive side of things here, so that's what he will do. Disruptor shots flying. Not hit the mark just yet. Baneling speed is way off, so we've got forever and a day until we get Baneling speed in play. Which is obviously a little bit rough. There's a few roaches trying to find aggression, but I mean, what are you going to find across the map right now? Because everything you try and do across the map is the Disruptor shots here are going to be pretty big. I mean, the Disruptors are kind of in the front and kind of exposed. Force fields coming down to protect against the Banes. Big corrosive vials going down. 72 Lings on the rebuild. Pushing forward here, Bane's continuing through. Disruptor shot fires, hits a few more Banelings, Roaches and Ravagers splitting up. Stalker's taking some hits as well. Disruptor's still backing away from this. There's just no way, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, this game from Solar, obviously it was kind of crazy early, which is why we got here. It was kind of crazy early. Hang on, hold a second. Is there a way? No, there isn't. Okay. There's extra Zod showing up. It was kind of crazy early, which is how we got here, but obviously it was never an ideal scenario for Solar. Bottom right-hand side, our red Protoss player, who at least puts himself on the scoreboard in this series. We'll see what he brings on Submarine. It is going to be MaxPax. Taking on the upper left-hand side, the blue Zerg player, Solar. Okay, well, we do have this drone. Will come down the low ground, and he will actually add one more drone, so it's a 17 hatch in the end. From Solar, as he gets blocked and forced away to the third base location. Full drones popping up. Going to be seeing our hatch gas and pool coming in then. And we wait to get underway as a gateway will come in at the front as well, so getting that ready to go. Everything kind of as expected for now. You just see the probe going to pop down it. Cybercore. course, naturally a Nexus to follow as well. Submarine is another Glaives map. So typically you can go Glaives. He doesn't have to be Glaives, of course. So that is the big question mark. What do you commit into? Is Glaives too obvious? Is it just good anyway because of the size of the map, etc.? MaxPax hunting for Game 5. I think we won in Game 5 as well, don't we, chat? Yeah, I see everyone in the chat's wanting MaxPax to level this out, at least bring us to 5 games. Again, the winner of this series plays special today in the grand finals, best of 7. Special starts up 1-0. His winner bracket advantage will be in play there. As a couple of Lings do go nibbling onto the pylon, and the Adept showing up to push some Lings away. So yeah, Adept's going to be a little bit annoying. We have seen some pretty successful Adepts. I mean, that's how that last game started too. The Adepts found really good damage early on in the last game, a few times over, in fact. So definitely expecting the Adepts to maybe have an impact here once again. Two of them into the natural. Well, I guess it is kind of the natural, right? But obviously into the third location, and what would have been the natural position as we see some Lings showing up. Adept's gonna have to turn away from that as the Lings looking for a surround. Don't quite get it. The other Adept's into the natural here, and he loses. I mean, loses one, recalls the other, but he gets 3 drones in the end. So I mean, it's not a bad trade again for MaxPax, because he doesn't even lose the second Adept. He keeps it alive, and there's the Twilight Robo after 3 gates. So pretty much going back into the build we saw earlier for a second time now. All these Lings up to the upper left side. Robo Facility, Twilight Council coming through. Just going to be having extra drones on the way in from Solar as well. So bringing some extra drones up. Once again, Twilight finishes up. Robotics Facility is going to be about to complete. And there's that Glaives on the way. So Solar gets the Rotron, I think about the same time as what he got it earlier when he dealt with this. So the problem earlier when he dealing with this was the fact that he was, the problem with this earlier was that he was basically in a position where as he got set up, he basically kind of just lost the Adepts before Glaives was even done, right? So he was already kind of playing from a little bit behind. He then went Dark Shrine, which, like I said at the time, I think was a pretty smart idea. And I think by going Dark Shrine, he kind of took away some of the aggressive opportunities maybe Solar had against him. As the Adept shade away again without the Glaives. Like, I just don't understand what the whole, what the benefit of this is, because I really feel like without Glaives, you're just kind of hitting a brick wall, but you just can't break through the Zerglings. You're trying to break through a brick wall with your fists, but then you get Glaives and your fists become a power tool. I don't know. You guys can figure out the analogy, but yeah, 2 more gates as well, by the way. So we're gonna go 5 gates and then the Robo Bay. So a ton of gateways here into the Disruptors this time around. Solar moves forwards. He's gonna Corrosive Bile the Adepts. I would have liked to see a Bile on the Prism. I know it's only shield damage, but that just makes that Prism that little bit more vulnerable. Glaives is about to complete. He's not going to commit to the Shade just yet, though. I think that's one of those scenarios where you do just want to keep the Adepts alive and move into the Disruptors. That's the typical way of going about this. Robo Bay going to be done in a few moments. Adepts kind of getting caught on the upper side. This is the power of the Ravagers, especially the extra little bit of range they get, really is good against this. Similar to Lightshade as well, by the way, in the sense that if you want to get aggressive here as Solar, it is a shorter rush distance, so that's something you have to be respecting as MaxPax and Solar. Let's put the Lings up in the end. The Adepts are kind of committed on this low ground. He realizes that's not going to go well, so he recalls. He lost quite a few Adepts. Now a few of them will show up behind the mineral line. A couple of drones killed, but I mean, Roach Ravager already gets across the map, so these units did not stop moving, and this is where the problem's going to arise. First Disruptor's out, but you're basically relying on this Disruptor to be your defense right here. Well, Roach Ravager backs away already. He does lose 2 roaches. So that's something there at least, as Ravager's obviously just trying to break the wall open to let the Lings in. And now the Lings are through. Well, already that's a pylon, so that's going to be no bad. Well, 2 gateways already just missing. Disruptor shot on the front. Kind of connects. Lings coming in. I mean, obviously it's not a pretty fight from Solar, but now he's going to get in on top of this army. Another Disruptor shot kind of goes too far. Could have had more damage. I think the Adepts just clean this up. I don't think this is a good attack from Solar. I mean, he kills 17 probes, so don't get me wrong, there's obviously benefits to this as well, but he loses a lot of his army in doing so. 23 probes now killed. The problem is the Lings are going to go up into the main base as well, and they might continue to just have a good time, and it's not an easy cleanup. Obviously, Solar's just on a good work account, so rebuilding for him is really not that problematic in the slightest. As 28, 29 probes go down. Love this little bit of final target fire. I feel like that's almost a necessity just for Solar to get as much as possible, because, you know, while he's in a good spot, these Disruptors are still an issue. 29 workers killed. Disruptor lands for 4 drones, gets a Queen, and the other Queens drop low. We'll probably want to trade transfusions. Obviously, no third base, so rebuilding workers is going to be a slow process. The devs start to move out to the upper left side. Things out down the bottom. Roach speed on the way from Solar in the back of the third base. It's going to see our Disruptors drop down, pick back up. I like this. Just Ling's going to find themselves an opportunity, right? You know, you kill off the gateway. It's obviously good. Man, the Disruptors are putting in work, though. Solar kind of just needs to defend, right? And then he's in a great spot. But defending is more easily said than done. I mean, these Disruptors are going to keep doing damage. There's a few Lings over here, so that's still distracting MaxPax, taking Warpins away from the front lines. Just gets a few extra probes. And again, that's just, again, continuing to push Solar into that kind of just survive sort of scenario. Moves forward there the Roach. He's going to get rid of a Disruptor. Now he comes around the other side, and those Disruptors are being hunted already. He's going to chase the Disruptor that didn't fire yet. That's really smart. I think he knows he wasn't going to cancel this Disruptor from shooting. But by chasing the one that didn't fire yet, he removed the threat that would follow up from there. So he just accepts that that one Disruptor shot will land. And he says, from there, I can just deal with the other one. Now, that's actually a really smart way to go about it. And, well, I actually love that little move, because that little thing probably really helps him out. Otherwise, you just continue to run all the time. In the end, Solar's going to get brought down to an equal-ish work account of MaxPax, but that's the problem, right? It's equal work account. Army supplies, not so much. And obviously, Solar's just been on a better work account until now, so he's able to have built more. And that is part of the reason MaxPax is going to GG out there. He just has no army to defend back across the map. As GG is called, Solar takes it to a 3-1 win, and Solar moves through to that